All right, happy to take your questions.
Thanks a lot, Mayor. Any on-topic questions from the media? Any on-topic questions? All right, we're going to start off with Tamam Bradley, Channel 9. 2 questions per reporter. Thank you.
Craig is like you just got here. How can you? Why do you get to go first?
Go ahead, Craig.
There was serious eye rolling. I think we had to say that. Mayor, the judge ruled in the FOP lawsuit you can continue to collect information on their vaccination status, but the requirement they be vaccinated by the end of the year is going away while you go back to the bargaining table. Your reaction?
No, I don't play lawyer, Tamam.
Okay. No, please tell me about it then.
So we're aware of the judge's ruling in the state case today that denied the FOP a TRO, which makes them like 0 for 8, something like that. And we're also looking at the other part of the judge's order, but because we're still examining it, I don't want to get too far ahead, but the mandate continues.
Craig Wall, ABC 7.
Is it okay if I take the mask down so you can hear me? So just in light of that, do you consider this ruling by the judge a validation of the vaccine mandate and the reporting mandate itself?
Well, look, I think you have to look at it like that. If you look at what's happening in court cases all across the country, or whether it's firemen, police, or others that are challenging these mandates, I'm not aware of a single instance in which a mandate put in place has been invalidated. And here in the Seventh Circuit, this really started with the University of Indiana that mandated that all of its students coming back to campus this fall must be fully vaccinated. That was challenged, went up to the Seventh Circuit, and the Seventh Circuit upheld that. That's the basis that the federal judge, and yet another challenge to the city's vaccine mandate, ruled on Friday. But look, here's the bottom line here. We're about trying to save people's lives. And in the reality that the pandemic is still real, people are still dying every single day in our city, and the people who are most at risk, 97% of the people in emergency rooms, in ICU beds, and dying of COVID-19 are unvaccinated. And if you're a person of color, that risk to you goes up exponentially. You are 50 times more likely to die if you're a person of color, 50 years or older, and you're unvaccinated. I do not want people to die in my city when there's a life-saving, free, safe vaccine readily available. That makes no sense to me. So we're going to continue to do everything we can to educate our workforce, but also educate the larger population about why the vaccine is so necessary. It's the only tool that we really have to fight against the pandemic, and it's safe. There's no question about it.
To your point on getting the word out, the numbers that came out from police today show that 80% of the cops who have reported their vaccination status are vaccinated. Yes. It's only slightly better when you go citywide, 82.2%. What does the city need to do differently to get more people on board to buy into the vaccine? Because it seems like you're struggling at the same levels.
Well, I wouldn't say struggling. I actually think 80% of people vaccinated, if we had that number citywide, we would regard that as a big success. But what we've got to keep doing is making sure that we are educating people, meeting them where we are. All the long-hanging fruit regarding the vaccine, I think, has already been done. And so we've got to continue our efforts. We're literally going door to door in communities to talk to people about getting vaccinated, listening to what their fears are. And unfortunately, there's still a tremendous amount of disinformation that's been put out there and routinely circulated on social media, and that's a whole other conversation for another day. But what we've got to continue to do is be diligent and determined to break through the fog that's out there about the vaccine and really meet people where they are. And what we've seen is tremendous progress when we're doing that one-on-one work, and that's where we are right now. Poll after poll shows that the people that are unvaccinated, the vast majority of them are still inclined to get the vaccine, but they need more information. And that's our obligation, but also I think an opportunity to really educate them. And no place that we should start than with our own city workforce. So we're going to keep pushing through.
Could I just follow up?
Yeah.
way the ruling, legal experts saying to us about the ruling is that it has to go to arbitration, and that if the arbitration isn't completed by December 31st, at that point, the TRO would actually have an impact and prevent the vaccine mandate from allowing the city to fire.
Well,
do you think this can get done in time?
Well, we'll see. I'm not going to comment any further. Our lawyers are looking at the judge's ruling and looking at what our legal options are. But what I know is we cannot stop. We absolutely cannot stop. This is about saving people's lives. And all those workers that were out there on the front lines through the pandemic, where there was no vaccine, we have a responsibility to make sure that those people, as well as the rest of our workforce, is safe. And dare I say it, I think the silent, overwhelming majority of folks in city government recognize the need for the vaccine and frankly don't want to work next to somebody who they don't know what their vaccine status is, and then take that risk not only for themselves, but for their families. So we've got to keep meeting people where they are, educating them about the risk, and moving forward to get more and more of our workforce, but importantly, more and more of our city vaccinated. I'm mindful of the fact I'm standing on the south side. And there are still a lot of work that we have to do in these and surrounding communities to reach people and educate them about what is necessary to help them save their own lives. It's absolutely crucial.
Thank you, Mayor. Mariah Woelfel, WBEZ.
Hi, Mayor. Good afternoon. As you obviously know, the city's placed around 30 police officers on no pay status for not complying, but yet thousands are still not in compliance. Now, especially now that the reporting requirement has been upheld by a Cook County judge, will the city start to accelerate the process to put some of those thousands of non-compliant officers on no pay status?
Well, here's what I would say about that. I mean, we've been moving, I think, with deliberate speed and emphasis on deliberate. And just to repeat what the process is, a supervisor will come to an employee and say, I don't see your name as having registered. Is that true or not true? In a couple instances, there's been some glitch in the system. So, but either way, we're encouraging them right there on the spot to sign up. And as you know, it's really about maybe a minute to do it. You click a button, you say yes or no, I'm vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, then you just upload your vaccination information. If you say no, then you go to a different screen and you say I'm going to sign up for the twice weekly testing option. It's really that simple. Really no burden. We're not asking for extensive amounts of medical information. It's very straightforward. And the vast majority of people who have been approached, whether it's police department, fire department, or wherever, and they haven't been on the list, they sign up on the spot. So but that takes time. Now, for those who are still uncertain, there's a continuation of that process. And in a police department, here's where it goes. After they've been given the opportunity, if they've got questions, then we bring people in to talk to them about the vaccine. We are doing that kind of individualized work. So this isn't quick work. In some instances, it takes multiple hours. It's got to be done with supervisors, exempt staff. And then, if after all of that, they're still saying no, then they're given a direct order by somebody in the Internal Affairs Division. And even then, they're given an opportunity to come into compliance. So the fact that we have such a small number of people that are in a no-pay status, and keep in mind, that number was actually higher, but they've come back. And I said this the other day, I think some of these folks have gone home and said to their spouse, guess what? And they said, no, we don't miss paychecks, you go back, you sign up. And so I think we're going to see more and more of that with the judges' decisions, federal court, state court, where the judges are upholding our vaccine mandate. I think some people were waiting and they were told by FOP in particular, we'll win in court. Well, as I said, I think John Cantazar is about 0 for 8. So at some point, people have to recognize this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's leading them down the wrong path. Sign up on the portal. Sign up on the portal. Save your life and save your family's life, your partner's life, your colleagues at work. This is what this is fundamentally about.
Quick follow-up to that, and then just one other question. The judge in his ruling today said the union's grievances are none other than an effort by leadership to protect their members' rights.
I'm sorry, just say it again.
The judge,
because I haven't had a chance to, the ruling came down when I was on the road,
sure.
So I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
The judge said in his ruling that the union's grievances are an effort by leadership to protect their members' rights to bargain and nothing but that. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, with due respect to the judge, We started this process with the FOP in August. We were only able to get them formally to the table 4 times between middle of August and October. And part of the reason that we weren't able to get them is because the FOP leader said, I'm busy, I'm going on vacation. So with due respect to the judge, I think the record tells a radically different story. Get serious, FOP. Get to the table. This isn't about the FOP. It's not about collective bargaining. It's about a seriousness of purpose around actually saving your members' lives. We lost 4 police officers last year who died of COVID-related illnesses before the vaccine was available. Recently, a senior former leader of the union died without taking the vaccine. I want to just, and as we know nationally, the #1 cause of death in first responders and police officers, COVID-19. So what I challenge the FOP is how many more members have to die before you come to the table in good faith and do the right thing? This is about saving people's lives. And if you're serious about it, come to the table every single day, starting today, and let's get a deal done. So they've not done that. We offered that multiple times over the 2 months that we attempted to bargain with them. It's just not correct that they're serious about getting a deal done. What they're serious about is obstructing, obfuscating, and telling half-truths to lead their members astray. We need to get a deal done. That's why it took 4 years to get the police contract done. We tried in good faith for 2 years of me coming into office to get them to the table. But obfuscation, delay. And then finally, the uproar amongst their members around not getting their retro pay got them to the table. We can't afford to wait any longer to save people's lives.
Thank you. And then can we get your reaction to Deputy Inspector General Deborah Witzberg's resignation and intention to apply for the IG job today? You've previously said the city is focused on getting a new, strong, independent Inspector General who understands the importance of staying in their lane. Do you think Witzberg is the ideal candidate for the job?
I'm not going to comment on anybody who unilaterally has said I'm going to apply. She can apply, go through the process, and the chips will fall where they may.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mark Connell on your right from the patch.
Oh.
How's it going?
We're down on the south side, so Mr. Kunkel shows up.
It's very close to my house. You were at a press conference today with Governor Pritzker about violence being a public health crisis. Mm-hmm. I was wondering if you could kind of shed light on, what this executive order means and the money that he said $250 million, which is really only $50 million. Like, how is this going to help Chicago?
We've been treating violence like a public health crisis since before I was sworn in during my transition. So for us, that declaration is not new. But it's important that it's issued statewide, and I welcome the support of the state in the effort that we've been in for 2.5 years here in the city of Chicago. What will the monies that were talked about today mean? We don't know the answer to that yet. That's why I said in my remarks today that we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that Chicago-based street outreach, intervention, and organizations have the opportunity to get access to those funds that are going to be let out on a competitive basis. So I think the jury's out, but it has the potential to really be transformative. We welcome the support of the state, and I've got to commend the General Assembly, Representative Evans is here, and others in the Black Caucus for their leadership on this issue, listening to community members about the need to have lots of different tools in the toolkit to address community violence, and not just the police, although the police play a critical role. But we really need to make sure that community organizations, community members have a seat at that table. And I'll repeat what I said there. I know that when it comes to issues like community safety, we can't just make up a plan on the 5th floor of City Hall and then hope for the best. We've got to be deep in with community. I know the General Assembly understands that, but with the state, they also have to, I think, step up and do the same thing and not forget that municipalities are on the front lines of this fight every single day. We're not new to this. We're addressing it every single day up and down the state. So I hope that they will continue to be in conversation with us around issues of community safety. It can't be a policy that's cooked up in Springfield and then spread out to the rest of the state. Again, I commend the Black Caucus in particular for really being engaged with us, making sure that they are listening to a city like Chicago. We had a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings when we were working together in the final language that was passed by the General Assembly, but more work to be done. And my hope is that a lot of Chicago-based organizations are going to be able to get access to those grants. And we made a commitment that we will provide the technical assistance on the front end so that they have the capacity to apply and be competitive, and then on the back end to help them realize and utilize those resources.
The money's from the legislature, not the governor's executive order. Is that how you understand it?
Yeah, I think the General Assembly allocated the funds. The governor signed the law. The governor's piece is the executive order declaring public gun violence as a public health crisis. And then
for some of my neighbors who've been, fighting for environmental justice over here, what's it going to take to tear down that fence around Lake Calumet?
That's a good question. We're going to continue to talk to folks in this community. We put $188 million into the budget that just was passed last week to make sure that we've got the resources that are necessary to really make a big, bold bet on all things environment, including environmental justice, making sure that we've got a world position to take advantage of the green economy that keeps expanding. But again, what we have to do is come to community and have that conversation. And I will make sure that we put that on the top of our priority list.
Just in that $180 million, is there fence removal in that?
I don't have that level of detail at my fingertips, but we'll look into it.
Thanks a lot, Mayor. That's a wrap, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.